Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and welcome to the Karey Carbaugh podcast, episode number 28. For my Spanish speaking friends, buenas noches, damas y caballeros, chicos y chicas, niños de todas edades, y bienvenidos a el Karey Carbaugh podcast, número 28. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you joining me, whether you're joining me live or on the replay. I know I say this quite frequently, but I do apologize for being late tonight. I almost thought about trying to find another time to do this, and I just decided, you're going to get what you're going to get tonight, and you'll see the raw and uncut version. I haven't really had time to think this through like I try to, but I decided that this is part of it. These podcasts are intended to be real and to demonstrate some of the challenges that I face in day-to-day life. And so tonight is an example of one of those challenges. If you think of yourself, when you either forget something at the store or have to run an extra errand or schedule to meet someone, that might cost you 15 or 20 minutes out of your day. Well, for me, I was scheduled to meet someone at another property that I own to do some work for me tonight, and meeting them there after work was going to put me about an hour behind schedule, but they didn't show up, and by the time I realized that and figured all that out and didn't end up meeting them there, that put me almost 2 hours behind. So if you think of yourself when you get stressed and frustrated by being 10, 15, 20 minutes delayed, think of a person who relies on public transportation. And when that public transportation stops, most of it at 7 o'clock p.m., all of it by 8 o'clock p.m., now that means no buses, no public transportation, which equates to about a 2 hour walk or 2 to 3 mile walk, and costs about 2 hours out of your day by the time you take transportation while it's still available to one end of town and then have to walk from that end of town back. So, not making excuses, but that's why I'm running a little bit late tonight, and I just thought I would share that as something that I face in my day-to-day life. If I run to the store to pick something up and forget one of the main things I went for, that can be a 2 to 3 hour delay in my day. So, welcome to my world. I won't belabor that. I just wanted to explain a little bit about why these podcasts are frequently late. A simple bus delay causing a mistransfer can equate to anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes delay in getting where I'm trying to get to. So, welcome to my world. That's part of my day-to-day challenges. That wasn't the intent of the podcast tonight, although it does fit in somewhat with the topic that I had planned on talking about tonight. And that topic is living in community as it relates to self-esteem. What did I mean by that? Well, I got a couple of ideas, as I often do for these, from another podcast that I follow and another online person. She doesn't exactly do podcasts, but she does have an online presence. And I got this idea kind of from two different angles. One from my friend Mitch Race that I've called out on these podcasts before. I often get a lot of my inspiration from him. And Chanel Gabriel, someone that I had a chance to perform with live when I performed at Carnegie back in March of this year. And so the two of them gave me some of the inspiration for this idea this week. So let's jump in. We've talked about some of this in the past, but I'm going to try and take this to a new and different level than maybe what we've talked about. What we've talked about in the past, which is where I'll start here, is the biblical basis for community and individual gifting. Paul in the New Testament, in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, lays out the fruits of the Spirit, or the spiritual gifts that are given to each one of us. And he talks about how not everyone gets the same gifts, the same spiritual gifts, or the same talents, if you will. But it is the same Spirit who gives those talents. And so we've gone through these before, but I'm going to springboard off of this a little bit and not go into the spiritual gifts so much, since we have covered those in a previous podcast. But before I do that, I just realized, for those who don't know me, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Karey Carbaugh, and this is the Karey Carbaugh podcast. If you're watching this live, I'd appreciate it if you drop me an L or live in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, drop an R or replay. And if you're getting value, drop a V or value in the comments. These all help me a lot in knowing what is resonating with different people. So let's get back into it here. If we go a little beyond the spiritual gifts, they're very similar, and many of them tie into each other. But think about what your talents are. What are your gifts? What are you good at? Are you a good cook? Are you a good artist? Are you a musician? Are you good at organization? Are you good at cleaning? All of these are gifts. They may not be spiritual gifts, but they're gifts. Are you good at listening? Are you good at lifting up other people? Helping other people to feel good and to find their gifts? These are all gifts. These are all talents, if you will. And it's important that we recognize our own talents as well as the talents of others. There's a reason that we are not all given the same gifts or talents. And that speaks right into the topic for tonight, which is community, living in community. The reason that we are designed to live in community is so that we can share these different talents with each other. If we were all talented in the same things, then who would do those things that we're not talented in? If none of us had the talent for building, who would build houses? If none of us had the talent for cooking, we wouldn't eat very much. And so, by living in community and by recognizing each other's talents and giftings, this is how we can lift each other up, and this plays into our self-esteem. If you are living in your talents and doing the things that you're good at, then it's going to make you feel better about yourself. It's going to boost your self-esteem. Now, the flip side of that is when people fall short. Maybe people try to do things that are not within their strong gifting. Maybe they're able to, but it's not something that they're good at. Or maybe they simply fall short. So the flip side of this is recognizing our weaknesses as well as our strengths and playing to those strengths, but also forgiving other people's weaknesses. When people fall short, it's important to forgive them. When people fail to meet our expectations, that's where forgiveness comes in. It doesn't necessarily mean forgetting, but it means allowing that person grace, restoring a relationship with them wherever possible. If the hurt or the shortcoming is too deep or too far gone, it may not be possible to have a relationship with that person, but we can still forgive them. We can still allow them to move on. And the forgiveness is as much for us, the forgiver, as it is for the forgiven. It enables both sides to move on from the shortcoming and to experience positive self-esteem. Getting back to part of our topic tonight, the self-esteem piece. Not only living into our own strengths and downplaying, if you will, our weaknesses, but doing the same for other people and forgiving those other people when they fall short, when they let us down, when they fail to show up for an appointment. It's important to be able to forgive. And I'm speaking this as much to myself as I am to you all, particularly in light of why the podcast was delayed tonight. I decided this was a twist I hadn't planned on for this podcast, but fate, as it will, God perhaps, placed this in my path, and so I decided to use it for the podcast. So let's recap. It's important for our own self-esteem to play to our gifts, to recognize our gifts, and to minimize or downplay those areas in our life or in our talents that we are not as strong at. Similarly, for other people, it's important to build them up, to recognize their gifts, to utilize their gifts, and allow them to share their gifts. I didn't say that before, but when we're surrounded by people who have gifts that are different from ours, allowing them to share those gifts is a positive self-esteem builder for that other person. It also can be a self-esteem builder for us because we're not trying to do those things that maybe we're not as good at. But we're allowing someone else to use their strengths. And so by playing to our own strengths, allowing others to play to their strengths, forgiving ourselves when we fall short, as well as forgiving others when they fall short. This is a very simple example of a self-esteem builder. So I hope you got value from that. This is perhaps a little shorter than some of my podcasts tonight, but I hope you did find value. If you did, drop a V or value in the comments. And as we bring this in for a landing, I want to wish all of you a very happy Independence Day, and not only celebrating independence for our country, but as I was thinking through this week, it occurred to me that for those of us who have challenges in life, who have disabilities in life, this is perhaps an opportunity for us to celebrate our independence. Not that many generations ago, a person with a disability would not have their own independence, would not be able to live independently. Society would not have allowed them to live independently. I had never thought of that before, but as we come into Independence Day, I think that's an important thing that we can remember, not only independence for our country, but individual independence, and whatever that looks like for you. So, with that, I will wish you all a very happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, and I may try to jump on here. I'm not sure what things are going to look like that day, whether I'll try to do a spontaneous live video that day or not. I may not have a chance to. So that's why I wanted to wish you all a happy Independence Day now, just in case. And as we close out here, if you have gotten value, drop a V or value. If you would like to be added to my email list, drop the word email in the comments or shoot me a direct message with your email address, and I'll be glad to add you to my email list. As I'm starting to develop that and develop some more private events for some of those who would like to go a little deeper into some of these topics, I'd be glad to add you to that list if that's something you're interested in. And if you like these videos, if you're finding values from these videos, I would appreciate if you would just click that like button. Like if you do, as a podcaster that I follow says. Like if you do. Drop me a comment and let me know what you're getting value from. And with that, I will wish you all a very happy and pleasant good evening, or good day, depending on where you're watching this from. Make it a blessed day and a blessed week for those that you come in contact with, and do something positive this week for someone around you. Until next time, this has been the Karey Carbaugh Podcast, and I am Karey Carbaugh. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening. Until next time, goodbye for now.